In a world constantly reshaped by geopolitical power plays, trade wars and shifting alliances, something unprecedented has just happened. For the first time ever, Southeast Asian leaders have sat down with China and the Gulf Cooperation Council, or GCC, at the same table for a groundbreaking summit. And it's happening at a moment when the United States is threatening new tariffs, aiming squarely at China, and potentially rippling through the entire global economy. But what does this summit actually mean? Is this the beginning of a new global power axis? Could this reshape energy politics, trade routes, and the future of diplomacy in Asia and the Middle East? Let's break this down. First, let's talk about who's involved. On one side, we have the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, a 10-member bloc made up of countries like Indonesia, Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand, and Singapore. These are fast-growing economies, major manufacturing hubs, and strategic choke points for maritime trade. Then there's China, the second largest economy in the world, the largest trading partner for most ASEAN countries, and a global heavyweight facing increasing pressure from Washington. And finally, we have the Gulf Cooperation Council, a six-nation bloc that includes Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain and Oman, countries that dominate the global energy market, hold trillions in sovereign wealth and are diversifying rapidly into tech, tourism and finance. So what brings these very different players together? Simple strategy, survival and shared economic interests. This summit isn't just about handshakes and photo ops. It's about hedging bets in a changing world. The immediate trigger, a growing sense of urgency around US trade policies. With Washington threatening to impose sweeping new tariffs on Chinese imports and possibly other Asian goods, many countries are looking for ways to shield their economies from potential fallout. Add to that a deeply fragmented global order. The Russia-Ukraine war has destabilized energy prices. The Israel-Gaza conflict has inflamed tensions in the Middle East. Supply chains remain vulnerable, and the US-China tech war is forcing smaller nations to pick sides or try not to. In this environment, ASEAN countries are trying to diversify their partnerships. China is looking for new allies and markets, and the GCC nations want to expand beyond oil, tapping into the dynamism of Southeast Asia and the infrastructure expertise of China. It's a triangle of opportunity. And that's exactly what this summit was designed to explore. So what's actually being discussed? Trade and investment, the centerpiece of the summit. The three blocs want to deepen economic integration, think new trade corridors, lower tariffs and investments in ports, logistics and digital infrastructure. The GCC, with its massive sovereign wealth funds, is eyeing opportunities in Southeast Asia's booming urban centers. Energy security and transition. With the global energy transition gaining momentum, the GCC wants to position itself not just as a fossil fuel supplier, but as a green energy partner. Hydrogen, solar and carbon capture were all part of the conversation. China, already a leader in renewables, is eager to collaborate. Digital economy and innovation, from AI and fintech to smart cities and cross-border payments. Digital cooperation is a big theme. China's tech companies are looking to expand in ASEAN markets, while Gulf countries want to leapfrog into the future with smart infrastructure, maritime security and connectivity. The South China Sea, the Strait of Malacca and the Persian Gulf are all vital arteries of global trade. Ensuring safe and secure maritime routes is a shared interest, especially as regional tensions simmer. This summit may not have resulted in immediate treaties, but it has set the groundwork for a new kind of trilateral cooperation. Let's break down what each group stands to gain. ASEAN, diversified investment sources, a hedge against over-reliance on US and Western markets, more infrastructure funding from both China and the Gulf. China, alternative trade routes and partnerships amid growing US isolationism. Access to GCC capital and energy, a chance to frame itself as a cooperative leader in the global South. GCC, strategic influence in Asia. Long-term returns from emerging markets. A seat at the table in shaping future trade and energy norms. It's a classic win-win-win, or at least that's the goal. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the United States. The Biden administration has ramped up its rhetoric against China, proposing new tariffs on electric vehicles, solar panels and semiconductors. These tariffs aren't just symbolic. They could reshape global supply chains. In response, China is trying to rally support from the global south, and this summit fits right into that strategy. ASEAN countries are increasingly wary of being caught in the middle, while GCC nations are balancing between traditional Western ties and new Eastern opportunities. Washington, of course, is watching all this closely, and it may respond with stronger incentives for ASEAN or increased outreach to the Gulf. Perhaps even its own version of a counter-summit, but the fact that this trilateral summit happened without US involvement says a lot. This summit may mark the beginning of a new geopolitical alignment. We're not talking about a formal alliance, but strategic convergence. Here's what to watch in the coming months: joint infrastructure projects, especially ports, rail and digital connectivity, energy deals involving green hydrogen and renewable technology, financial integration including digital currencies and cross-border payments, increased military cooperation or naval exercises, particularly for maritime security, summit institutionalization. Will this become an annual event? Ultimately, this summit isn't just a response to US tariffs. It's a signal that the global South is growing more assertive, more connected, and more determined to shape its own future. The old world order is shifting, and this could be one of the clearest signs yet. As leaders from Southeast Asia, China, and the Gulf gathered under one roof, they weren't just making history. They were charting a new course, a course that could redefine how power, money, and influence move in the 21st century. The question now is, will the rest of the world catch up? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into global shifts that matter.